Welcome. Welcome. I'm going to call this like the Tracy Hill Show. And today, my guest is Paul, the lovely Paul from the Thinking Hat Co. And I'm just going to start by saying that I've known Paul for a very, very, very long time. He's an extremely successful entrepreneur, kind human, founder, visionary artist. Oh my God, his art is great. I have to say that because obviously of the picture that you did for me, because it's in my office and I bloody love it. Paul is here today to talk about his experience with root cause therapy. Paul, I couldn't remember when it was that we first met in that coffee shop, but I believe it was before Christmas or maybe it was after.
No, it was early December.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And when did you come to me for the session? Was that in the new year?
Hold on. Sorry. Yes, we had the coffee probably September time, I think. And then we met in December.
Okay, great. So before we start, can you just explain and do a little intro of who you are and why you came to see me? Like, what were some of the issues you were experiencing as a founder, entrepreneur, just as a bloody human?
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Thank you very much. And thank you for having me on here. It is a privilege to be asked and to spend some time with you. My name is Paul. I am the founder of Thinking Hat Co. And yeah, I first came to you because I was, I suppose, creatively and job-wise, I was constipated. I was blocked and I was shackled to a version of me that had kind of been formed against my will over many years into being something that I wasn't. And I felt it. I definitely felt something needed to shift, and I felt that I was worthy of it and capable of it. But it was literally like being creatively constipated. I didn't know what to do for things to move, for want of a better term. I'd seen, obviously we've known each other a long time, but I'd seen you talk about the therapy, and I initially reached out to just talk to you and kind of like to just kind of like pick your brains because I look up to you hugely. And then I met you as quite a broken version of myself, if I remember rightly, and I was quite tearful because I didn't know. I knew I needed to move in a direction. I didn't know which direction it was. I was running the charity I co-founded on my own, and something needed to change because financially the model was no longer working. We'd gone from 12 people down to just myself, but the need was still there. And I loved what I did, but it needed to change. I needed to do something. And the Thinking Hat Co. was sort of in existence, but not really. There was a part of me that was almost ashamed or guilty to fully launch it because I suppose misplaced loyalty, not misplaced loyalty, but I had loyalty to the charity, which was my baby. But I needed to deliver another baby. I'm really mixing my metaphors here. All right, constipation and babies.
Yeah.
So yes, that's sort of the situation that led up to when we met. I'm sure we met a couple of months beforehand. It was a rainy, warm day, but I came round in December. I'm almost certain.
Yeah. I remember that chat in the coffee shop, and I think you anyway are such a bubbly, unique human, right? And you're always so happy and you do so much for so many other people, especially within the charity and just in life. Like and I say like you are one of my favorite humans because you are just so fucking kind.
Oh, thank you.
And obviously we went for that coffee. And actually, that same coffee shop, I swear to God, she must think, oh my God, does she just bring people in here and then they just break down? Does she break them? Well, I know that's not the case. I could see and I could feel, as you know, I'm quite intuitive that way. I could feel the pain that you were in. And I can't remember what it was that I said, but obviously at that point, I knew that your worth was being attacked. You were so worried about being judged, you know, confidence and all of these things. And you had this amazing idea for the Thinking Hat Co. And I just knew that if you could get to the root cause of what was going on, and what I mean by that is your unconscious program, if you could understand how that was coded, that if you could then change that, I knew after that session, Paul's life potentially would change.
Mm.
So then obviously we arranged the session and we did our debrief and intake form and things like that. And I always say to people, and I think it's the hardest question, right? Is because if I ask you your name and where you're from and your doctor and what the problems are, you'll be able to tell me like verbatim, like so quickly. But the minute I say, what do you want? So many people go, I don't know, actually.
Yeah.
And I think with you knew what you wanted. And I said, like, just go a little bit deeper, like dream a bit bigger here. And you did. And then we obviously did the session. Could you tell, and you don't have to go into details, by the way, of scenes or anything like that, because that's no one else's business. But can you just explain sort of a bit of what happened for you within the session, what it was like? Because I think people are a bit like, whoa, man, like, you know, hypnosis and other modalities, that's a bit out there.
A bit
You know, is
woo.
it going to work? Is she going to be able to take me back to these scenes? Am I going to be able to go there? So would you just explain a bit about your experience?
Absolutely. Yeah, because I understand that people do get trepidation in doing things like this, particular, and I think something I get is, will I be able to do it right? My end of the bargain. Will I be able to go under? Will I be able to go back? Will I be able to kind of understand what you're seeking in these answers? But a very relaxed atmosphere initially. I think we had some cacao, did we?
We did, yeah. I did make you cacao that day.
Yes, sat in a beautiful armchair, the armchair, and yeah, you held me gently, you walked with me kind of through the process rather than push me from behind, and took me into a state where I reflected on, I suppose you'd call them pivotal parts of my life, soldered my wiring into a certain way that was causing me to glitch at a time when I needed to kind of change that wiring. And for me, for me, all of it was childhood, was family stuff, real or perceived. And I remember doing a labels exercise with you, and you know, what labels do you adopt? Which ones do you give yourself? And I can't remember all the other stuff because of my ADHD. But yeah, so I kind of like gently peel back layers as to what it was that was causing me to feel stuck, that was getting in my way or putting me in my way. There were a lot of very cleansing tears throughout the process. I'm very pro crying. And
I mean, me too. I mean, I was with you.
yeah, you were.
You know, I was crying with you.
Yeah,
You
there was
know.
no drought that day.
No.
Literally leaking. But yes, it was just incredible. It was soothing. It was deep. It was nourishing. It created tectonic shifts in my psyche and my understanding of myself. And kind of, I suppose there was an immediate kind of reaction, but there was a few delayed timers on things that were going off occasionally afterwards. It's like, oh my God, all these revelations. And it was completely life changing. It was relaxed and life changing. Like you would think something so impactful would be full of drama, but there was no drama apart from obviously the tears. But that's not drama. That's healing. And it was incredible.
And, you know, I think so many people are skeptical of this work, right? And I always say this, as you should be, But that's the same as when you go anywhere and you get tablets or whatever that is that you should always be skeptical. But what I loved about you, and you actually hit the nail on the head at the beginning, am I going to do this right? What if, and it's what happens all the time. Like I say to everyone, there's no right and wrong. Like there's nothing you can do wrong here. All you have to do is just follow my lead. I'm going to take you wherever I need to take you.
Yeah.
And I always explain to people that every session is completely different, right? Because you, Paul, have a very unique blueprint and architecture that is very different from anyone else, which means that the stories, the scenes, the things that come up for you will be different. But that also means is that how we connect those dots, how we understand that and break those patterns is also different, you know? And just, I remember afterwards, and I've me like makeup down my face pretty much, but obviously having this soul cleansing cry as well, right? Because we all have to. And even I could just sense it in you, just this, like you just put down a heavy fucking rucksack.
Yeah. Huge.
You know, and I see that a lot with people, and they say, well, now I just feel this completely different. Things that would normally happen aren't happening. How I would normally feel anxiety, I don't feel anxiety. I remember you saying that there were a couple of things to me afterwards in our catch-up call. You're like, I was doing this, and like, so I didn't. Do you remember any of those?
This is one of the problems. I've lost those on my phone.
Right. So one of them, I think, was emails. You said, I'm writing emails and not even like questioning anything. Like normally I'd sit there and I'd reread it and I'd do this, I'm just writing and firing.
Yes, I remember. Yes, I did exactly the same yesterday. It's the self-doubt, the questioning of one's own kind of beliefs and what makes us uniquely us, and why that is a good thing. And I'm fucking good at what I do.
Yeah.
Particularly now, because I am being my true self for the first time in my life. And those emails were a reflection of it. So what is this? What is this? I'm just sending it. Yeah. Seeing what comes back. And I remember you saying you get into the habit of, or you were kind of guiding me to like, just trust the process. Stop trying, just allow. And that's been a huge part of it. I mean, the self-belief is like huge part of it, because I am now unapologetically myself, which in turn gets all of the results that I was touching on when I was partly myself and still a tad apologetic about it. But it turns out that me, Paul 0.2 or 2.0, is what the world needs, and it's what gets the results. And the more I've done that, the more I've realized my worth and kind of understood it, and I'm monetizing it, because we all have to pay bills.
Absolutely.
And yes, it's been a journey. It really has.
I love, exactly, right. And I think, so people understand, like, some of the actually it's more the nervous system shift that happens, is that Paul wanted to experience these things in his life, but as you said, you were constipated before, right? So some block. So this might have wanted things, but your heart and your whole entire nervous system wasn't actually, it was so blocked, it didn't have the capacity to receive anything that you wanted. It didn't have the capacity to believe that you could have it, and that's what I always say to people. It's like, it's not that money won't flow to you when you start believing and doing these things, like, but you have to have the nervous system to trust and support it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And you'll attract other things that you never attracted before. And I don't know, with your new work now, are there situations that you've put yourself in which you've never have done before? Like, what does that look like now?
Yes, is the short answer to that. But we all know I don't do short answers. So
Good.
yeah, I mean, I'm doing a lot of new stuff. Like, for example, prime example is, I think I said when we met that the charity I co-founded, the IP with that, it came up that it wasn't mine, and
Mm.
I was hurt by that,
Yeah.
and I think that was part of the blockage. So where do I go from here? Am I worthy of going from here? You know, that was a wallop to the confidence, if you like. But I have since pretty much when we met, rather than focusing on that, I've just been learning all the different therapies because I can unfucking apologetically use them all for anybody and everyone, depending on their needs. So I can do CBT, I can do HCT, I can do DBT, I can do trauma-based therapy, I can do all these things where previously I was shackled to this structured program. Yes, it was effective, but times have changed and the needs have changed and the complexity has changed of the people out there and what they need. And each person needs something completely bloody different. So to offer them one solution, I would never have dared or thought I was worthy of delivering all these things. But I've got 10 years on the front line supporting people. So why the hell don't I do it? And my God, the response, the results, they have been incredible. So I would have done that. I would never have dared to do that. I never would have been quite vocal about that and welcome anyone to challenge like the value of that, because I've seen results that no one else is seeing out there with all ages, adults and children. So I did touch on this very briefly earlier, but I went to a networking thing yesterday. I haven't been to it for months because it always clashed with something. I'd been to it before, but I think probably 3 or 4 years ago. And Apologetic Paul went to the last one because Apologetic Paul turned up. And I didn't remember until I got there yesterday, that I'd apologised for not being in a suit or shirt and tie or being like a bit more linked in. And I remember feeling at that time out of place, like an imposter, because I didn't really know who I was at that time. God, it was a completely different situation. I went in shorts, cap, sunglasses, t-shirt, my thinking hat t-shirt, which everyone wants one of. And I made some really good connections for another thing, which I didn't think I would dare do, which is I'm continuing with a philanthropic side to this business. So whilst it's not a charity, old Paul's like, well, you can't do philanthropic stuff if you're not a charity. Fuck that. I can do philanthropic stuff. It's exactly the same process.
Absolutely.
Money comes in, I do the thing, someone is helped. Just someone else is paying for it, for that. And so, websites, like, it's just in its final versions of being done. But why am I shackled to these ridiculous preconceptions that are outdated, that don't suit the world as it is? The needs are out there. I can continue doing it. And I've already got someone's doing it's essentially a fundraiser, but as long as there's a paper trail, everyone's happy and they still get the tax write-off. So yeah, there's been some hugely different situations that I've put myself in that I never previously would have. And actually, one of your talks, I went along as the only man. Not that I'd ever normally be worried about that, but just reflecting on my notes that I sent you and me in the questionnaire beforehand, looking at the things that I'm struggling, which so much of it comes down to self-confidence, self-belief and imposter syndrome. And, even then, so, oh, God, should I go? Because these are titans of industry, these hugely powerful women. No, fuck it. It's all, it's learn, let it wash over you and learn. And that's sort of been my mantra since we met, to just go in. As yourself said, it's go in and try to fuck things up.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's freedom in that, rather than chasing perfection. try to fuck things up. And in
Yeah.
taking away that quest for perfection, like with my art, where I'm no longer trying to do this perfectly beautiful thing, and in doing so, a beautiful thing comes out of it. And
Yeah.
that has been one of the biggest changes since we met, and I cannot thank you enough.
Oh, listen, you are so welcome. And I think if we do approach that to let's just go fuck it up. What is the worst that could happen, right? And I said to someone yesterday that life moves at the speed of yes. And I think that we all need to remember that, and not just, the same for me. I put myself in difficult situations all the time to purposely feel uncomfortable.
Mm.
And I think there's so much power in that. And actually, 9 times out of 10, doesn't really feel that uncomfortable. You're like, oh, this
No.
is great.
No. I mean, Reformer Pilates, and I'll do that every
Yeah,
Sunday. I've signed up a subscription talking about like putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation. But it's been one of the best things I've ever done
I
for my
love this for
posture,
you.
yeah. Sorry, that was a little bit of a tangent, but
No, not at all. Because again, it's something, and this isn't just about business, right? This is about how everything improves in your life. Not just business and money and income. This is about relationships, like how they improve. Like, are we open to actually being loved more? Do we love ourselves enough to be loved more? And I had a lovely, lovely lady the other day. I'd worked with her husband, and she said to me, Tracy, like, I want to do a video testimonial for you because I don't think you realize not just how much his business has changed, but how our relationship has changed. Like, it's completely different. We are so good, like the best we've ever been.
Oh, wow.
And I think it has that domino effect.
Yes.
And it is like you break, and I'll say this, but you break a generational pattern.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed.
And that is why I can't not do this work anymore.
Yeah.
I can't unsee the results, right? And the life shifts that it has for people.
Absolutely.
In terms of advice you would give to people just thinking about doing this, what would your advice be?
My advice would be to embrace the change, try it out, don't fear it because it's unexpected, and go into it with an open mind and without it needing to be just so. Relinquish the control, hand it over to the expert, as you see here, because Tracy is very good at what she does and she will change your life. So go ahead and do it, people. Do it. Seriously, like I keep using the term tectonic shifts, but it's like a tangible change in me since we met. And I was, I was broken, and I didn't realize how broken I was until I reflect back now on it and remembered my mind had kind of deleted the version of me that met you in that coffee shop until just now. And my life changed when I came around yours and I did the therapy. So change your lives, people.
Oh, thank you so much for that, Paul. I truly appreciate you sharing your story so that others can learn from it. And, for anyone else listening to this that would, even like to know more about Paul, where can they find you, my dear?
Find me on Instagram is up now, which is Thinking Hat Co. And the website will be up in 2 or 3 weeks, which is thinkinghat.uk. And you can email me at paul@thinkinghat.
Great. And when you have your merch available, because I said to you before we started this interview, I need a hat.
Yeah.
But will that also be on the website?
That will also be on the website because people want it because the logo is mwah.
I love this. Thank you so much, darling.
Thank you.
I look forward to catching up with you soon.